welcome everyone. I am here with our marketing expert, Suhasini. Just a little bit about me. I am a marketing professional. I've worked with companies like Persistent and also worked on initiatives hands-on like Smart India Hackathon. I'm very happy to be here, to speak with her. I'm in conversation with Suhasini. Suhasini, just a few words if you would like to just start with.
Yeah, I would actually like to introduce myself. I am Suhasini Kirloskar, and I am the founder of MarketAxis Consulting, which I've been running now for almost 7 years. Okay, so this is a company we specialize in B2B marketing, although we've done some very exciting B2C projects, but those have come because, the customer likes us or whatever. But as far as our expertise and specialization is concerned and the makeup of our team is concerned, we are definitely more B2B focused. So we work in strategy consulting. We work in we provide outsourced marketing services like various kinds of marketing content. We do events. We do social media marketing. We do also outbound like email and telemarketing. So that's as on the services side. And then I launched in August. I've been doing a lot of training for a very long time on a variety of forums, including at B schools, including at forums like Great Learning. And, I have my own course published on Udemy. But then I decided that there was a need for a really good comprehensive B2B marketing strategy and techniques course. So I launched this course. It's called B2B Growth Essentials. I launched that in August, and the first cohort is completed. We are now on to our second cohort. It's an intense 6-week learning journey that we go through with founders, mainly founders from industrial sector, technology sector, including software, some from the consulting sector, and some very different and offbeat kind of businesses as well. So that's, it's like I put together everything I learned over many, many years. And what I saw from, really works. It works for a set of organizations. So why can't others benefit? Some slightly interesting idea, offbeat idea that many others are not aware of. So I kind of put together the effective techniques and best practices into this 6-week program. And also, some of the smart things that usually only larger companies know that they can do. My effort is to bring them to anyone. It could be even a single person solopreneur or a mid-sized company. And basically, we work with a lot of small to mid-sized companies who are looking to put now a systematic sales and marketing strategy and process in place. Because, I found with a lot of small to mid-sized technology companies or other kinds of B2B businesses, they reach a certain level with, their personal contacts, their word of mouth marketing, their referrals. And then they realize that if they would like to grow further, they need that structured approach, systematic, strategic approach to sales and marketing. So that's where we come in.
Yeah. Right. And with your kind of experience, in the industry, it's really great that you are able to put this whole training module together. I've had the privilege of attending at least one of it, and it's my privilege. So thank you, for imparting all your knowledge and experience to everybody who's willing to take it. So
yeah, actually, it becomes a journey of discovery, because every time we kind of meet, we learn from the experiences of the participants. Exactly. Yeah, so it's a fantastic joint journey of discovery. Yeah.
Yes, there is always something to learn. So we will, move to our topic, what we are here to discuss. Like you said, you have this training module on B2B. We talk a lot to, companies, organizations, mid-sized, small individuals who are in B2B business. Now, branding, we're talking about branding, and how do you think it is relevant, for buyers? Because nowadays buyers just want to, compare. They usually just compare the features, prices, etc., and then they go and, go about with the business. How is it relevant in your opinion?
Yes, actually, we do face this question sometimes that in B2B marketing, is a brand relevant? Because people think that the B2B buyer is just a completely like a rational person who just compares facts, who's just going to look at product features and prices and take a decision. Okay. So that's actually, that's actually not how how B2B purchase works. It's interesting, and we'll see more about that. But people do think that buyers make rational choices by simply comparing features and prices. They also think that relationships between the business development person and the customer is very important. They think that that rapport, that few handful of customers that a particular salesperson is handling, that such a very very strong relationship that the brand doesn't matter. And they also think that my products or services are very technical, or they're very complex. I don't require like a fancy logo, I don't require like a good tagline. So this is another feeling that people have, that they can do away with like really creating a brand or building a brand. These are some of the experiences that we've found. But actually, research shows something very different. So Forbes, for example, the Forbes magazine research shows that B2B companies with strong brands generate a higher profit margin than others. And there's another research by Adience, which shows that 77% of B2B marketing leaders say branding is critical to growth. Okay. And we will see that today building our brand is not a feel good factor, but it actually impacts profitability. Okay. So I'll go into that more as we go along. But branding in B2B marketing is very important, and more people are actually, I would say, realizing that.
Yeah, and you said at the end it leads to profitability, and it is important. I totally agree. We want to like discuss about specific business benefits that organization will have by building a brand.
Sure. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. And here are some slides. First thing is that, when you build a strong brand, actually you create a very effective barrier to entry for competition, and I've given just one example. Search engines, so many people tried search engines, including a giant like Microsoft. And, very, very, I would say, middling success, right? Any other category, if you think about today, if you think about something like cloud hosting, immediately what comes to mind, AWS, maybe Microsoft Azure, and a handful, one or two others. All these are extremely strong brands, but there must be so many other people who could or would have liked to do cloud hosting. If you look at something like top-end consulting, top-end accounting services, there are so many competent people in the world, consultants, accountants, and so on. But today, if you look at the client base that goes to some of the larger brands, the well-known names, it's quite difficult for others to compete at the same level. We think immediately about those top 3 or 4 accounting firms of the world, and they have that global clientele. So the strong brands actually create that kind of barrier to entry for competition. It becomes a barrier to entry for competition. And in many, many categories, we see just 1 or 2 strong brands have emerged. Okay. So I'll kind of leave that and move on, because we have short time today. The next thing about branding is that when you have a brand, when you build a brand, and when you compete, you now no longer compete on price alone. So you can then not have a situation where you put in a proposal and someone says, okay, you are charging say 100,000, the next person is ready to do it for 80,000. That type of situation you can kind of avoid, because people do believe that brands will command some premium. So when you have a very good brand, and there is a reason for you to have that good brand, then soon your buyers start saying, and this is a very subtle change. It's a very subtle change. It happens slowly over a while as you invest in branding. But people do start saying, oh, can't expect, Disha to be coming at that price, or can't expect Suhasini to be coming at that price. I mean, I'm just giving some hypothetical. But yeah, they'd say, oh, of course, she's a brand. So this is something that happens, that you now are not competing on price alone. How and why that happens is something that, we need more time to think about. But then the other thing is that with a brand, you can cut through clutter, because most marketplaces get crowded. Now, this is actually a very reverse example. The example given on the slide is not what I consider successfully cutting through clutter, because Zoho, we all know Zoho as a CRM. And now they have this product Zoho Meeting. So according to me, this product has not cut through clutter because it's, the brand is so strongly associated with CRM. We don't think tomorrow if you want to have a meeting, we're not going to say, oh, do you have a Zoho Meeting account? Should we meet on Zoho? We're going to first say Zoom or Google Meet. And then I'm looking at this name, it again has Z, two O's in it. So it's a bit too similar to Zoom as well. So it becomes, in this case, it becomes a kind of a Me Too brand. Yeah, so currently this Zoho Meeting, until they create that differentiation, it's sort of a Me Too brand because it hasn't created a differentiation against leaders like Zoom. But Zoom, on the other hand, is a highly, very, very strong brand, and we are going to look a little more at it. Your brand will attract customers as well as employees who share your purpose. So purpose is becoming a more and more important angle in branding. So for example, I've given a screenshot of an electricity supplier. So in India, usually we just have one electricity utility company, government-owned one, which works in our area, and we take electricity from there. But internationally, there is competition for your electricity business, actually. And so this one may be an example from USA or Australia, I forget, but it says a deep green 100% renewable. So the electricity is made from renewable sources. So if for me as a business, this matters, then I'm going to be going with an electricity company which is based on renewable energy. So yesterday I was at a hotel for a meeting, and I was very, very upset because they forced me to open a bottle of bottled water. And I don't like single-use plastics. I particularly dislike single-use plastics. I told the waiter, get me a jug of water. And he said, in this entire hotel, we do not possess a jug. We do not have a jug. And I opened the bottle of water, and another waiter got me the jug. So I was very, very upset. So if I am tomorrow, doing a conference for my company or for a client, I'm going to ask these things. I'm going to ask that, how are you actually going to avoid single-use plastics? How are you going to recycle whatever is used for my event? So we are now looking for brands that are aligned with our purpose. So the brand has to then communicate what that purpose is, and you will attract those customers as well as employees who share that purpose. Okay. The other thing about branding is that branding creates customer loyalty, and Zoom is an example. So, in the lockdowns, in the whole pandemic thing, one of the brands that gained the most is Zoom. There was actually, these features were available before that. The ability to conduct online meetings was available before that with products like Skype. But what happened? They just did not make it through this whole pandemic and lockdown, because the whole thing with Zoom, and actually if you read the experience of the founder of Zoom, he says he used to miss his girlfriend when he was in college. I think he was in China, then he came to the US, and he said, if only I could video call. And Zoom is one of the first platforms that went video to start with. It wasn't that it started out as a chat platform or a phone platform and then went to video. They were video to start with. And the basic thing is, it's just so easy to start a Zoom call. If you think about like trying to log into Skype and what we used to do in the pre-Zoom era, it's just like, why would I even go through that now? So it was just a simple experience. And his mission is like, I just want to make people happy, because again, it's comes from that thing of missing his girlfriend and wanting to video call. So he said, our mission is to make people happy.
It's a big thing, being user friendly.
And that is why the whole loyalty and the kind of the experience, the amazing experience, which has created this amazing loyalty. So you are able to create loyalty when you have that kind of a brand. Another important thing about branding is that branding helps us to connect with emotional drivers. So remember that B2B buying decisions are taken by people, and people are emotional. It's not that people just take two fact sheets, compare the features, compare the compare the price and buy. No, that's actually not how all purchase decisions happen, we connect with emotional drivers. So for example, when you say Zoho, made in India, made for the world. So there is something about made in India, right, that appeals to us because it makes us feel that little bit of that pride, or that, we connect, we at least want to know more about this. Acha, ye make in India product hai, ye kya hai? We have that feeling. And there are so many other kind of connects. They come, when the campaigns come around, Diwali festivals, there are different emotional connects. When they come around national holidays, there are different connects. And there are a variety of emotional connects. But actually, there is some degree of emotion in all buying decisions. And I think we have that chart as well. Going ahead, I will show you. The other thing about branding, another business benefit of branding, is that it helps us to move from confused communication. One day we are sending out one mailer, the other day we're doing another social post, then we're thinking, what should we do? What should our website say? Branding brings your communication to a strong, unified voice and visual identity, which then becomes more memorable. Okay, so here is an example of MailChimp. There are lots of mailing tools out there, but MailChimp with that chimp, the mascot, and all their user interfaces, whether it's their website, whether it's the product, every screen of the product is just so easy. And you see the chimp and the language tone that they use, and everything is just so cohesive and so consistent that it makes you feel, as soon as you come to MailChimp, you feel comfortable. No, I don't want to try 15 different tools. I just know how this is working. I know how to find help, and I'm good to go with this. So that is the other aspect of branding. And then the last thing that I'll discuss today, actually brands create financial equity. Brands create financial assets for the company. Brands affect company valuations and share prices. And if you would like to read more about this, one of the leading authorities in the world is Interbrand, who put a value to brands. They rank like the 100 most valuable brands of the world, 100 fastest growing brands of the world. This is based on an analysis of the financial performance of the branded product or service. And they also estimate what is the role that the brand plays in the purchase decision. For example, I said, if it's web hosting, I would like to go with AWS. If it's a CRM, I would like to go with Salesforce. I would like to go with Zoho, whatever. So what is the role that the brand is playing in that decision? They estimate that. And then they also estimate what is the brand's competitive strength. And using a combination of this, they give a dollar value to the brand. And that's why we see that brands actually are financial assets for their companies. So these are some of the business benefits of building a brand for a B2B product or service.
Yeah, and these all are so true. Brand is very, emotionally driven, has to be user friendly. All of this, all these points that you talked about, we talked about like, big players, Zoom, Google. We also, you talked about how we have small to medium companies that would be, we would like them to brand because they are, B2B organizations. How is that? How is branding? How are they going to stand out by branding?
Sure.
Things help them as well, like to stand out.
It will, yeah, as long as there's a good systematic approach. So we'll I'll come to that. I'll just finish one or two points and I'll come to that.
Okay.
We'll try to understand also the role of emotions in B2B decision making. Okay, and I discussed this, that remember that it's your brand that helps you connect and convince. It's not your product. You can't go and put a software on somebody's table or an app on someone's phone, or you cannot put a physical product like a pneumatic drill on someone's desk and expect an emotional connect. That is not going to happen. It's the brand that has that emotional connect. And actually, again, research shows that B2B brands do better with customers when they use emotive rather than rational marketing messages. So don't only base your marketing messages on things like, it's so many horsepower, or it's the product has so many modules, or that's actually not the only reason people buy your product. There is a very, very lot of emotive messages that you can think about. The brand then becomes a combination of all those emotive messages. So let's look at what those are. So this is a very good map to understand how emotions come into B2B purchases. And this is based on a model created by Bain and Company, which I've kind of, I've just kind of derived from that. And they talk about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of value. Okay. And a lot of emotions come into this. For example, the table stakes. When I'm looking to buy a product or service from you, table stakes, a minimum I expect, hygiene factor is in the lowest row. Yes, it should meet specifications. I need an HRMS, your product has to, do those functions. I need a payroll software, your product has to do those functions. I need, an accounting service, or I need, I need a GST consultant. Yes, you need to have the expertise. So that is meeting specifications. Acceptable price, regulatory compliance. Yes, you need to have your government, registrations, and you need to meet the laws and so on. Ethical standards. Yes, you won't cheat me, you won't run away with my money. So these are table stakes. These are very, very bare minimum. Now we come to functional. So functional is under economic and performance. The what am I paying for it and what am I getting out of it? Again, this is at a very low level. As we go up, what is the ease of doing business value? When I work with you, when I buy your product or service, how does it make my life easier? So then we could talk about productivity. Access matlab how easily I'm able to access your product. Is it available online, offline, through distributors, and so on. Relationship, like, do you care for me? Do you keep a rapport with me? Do you stay in touch? Do you provide later support service? This is again ease of doing business value. We are going one up, but the higher levels now, individual value. Now look at this. Okay, my career and personal. What happens to me as a buyer when I buy from you? So I place an order for a big system from Microsoft or IBM. I get invited to some exclusive conference in some beautiful part of the world. It's, to me, matter of prestige. I'm meeting certain peers and I'm talking to them about how we have used the system, how they've used the system. For me, this comes under network expansion. This is for me in my career as well as my personal development. And we have to remember that these things play a role. Marketability. Okay. Does this make my organization more marketable, and myself? Okay. My reputation. So for example, I would not like to recommend a product or service which might not perform and may affect my professional reputation. So I have to feel good. I have to be able to tell my bosses, see, I implemented this, I executed this, I purchased this, I selected this, it's working so well. That's my reputational. On the personal side, design and aesthetics. Yeah, these things play a part, right? We feel like carrying a certain device, a certain type of laptop. Reduce anxiety. Okay, I don't want to be worrying that why did I go with this vendor? Why did I select this product? Fun and perks. Yeah, are you doing some user conference? Those things. That are you inviting me? Are you sending me gift vouchers when I purchase something? Those are the fun and perks. So these things are at the emotional level. But even higher than that, today, we expect brands to provide us inspirational value with purpose, hope, and social responsibility. You see so many posts on LinkedIn, for example, especially, certain brands like the Tata brand. People will always talk about how, Mr. Ratan Tata is inspiring, how Tatas have helped to, shape India or help with our nation building, how they are very ethical, so many times. And then there are other very big brands that nobody finds inspiring. In fact, no one has a good word to say about them, right? So today, if you or I have to take up a job or make a large decision for purchase, we actually want the brands to inspire us. And that's where it's going. And when we today talk about defining a brand, we need to understand what are these emotional drivers in the purchase decision and affecting our buyers, and what is our brand going to communicate at that emotional level. It's only the brand that gives you a chance to communicate that at an emotional level. You cannot do that in the product or the service per se. It has to be when you think completely about the brand that you're able to say, okay, this brand communicates assurance. This brand communicates ethics. This brand communicates purpose. What purpose? That's very important. So like, for example, the hotel where I was yesterday, it's a chain. If today they tell me their purpose is, environmental sustainability, I will not believe it. I'll be like, that's nonsense, because the brand is everything. The brand is what the waiter talks to me also. All that together is the brand. And for me, it's a very emotional thing, like knowing that the planet is being destroyed. That's an emotional, highly, it causes me anxiety. So knowing that the hotel I'm going to doesn't create single-use plastics, doesn't create unnecessary garbage, or is treating the garbage properly or recycling most of the things, that becomes for me an emotional message. It helps me to calm down and enjoy my experience there. So this is the emotional aspects of B2B marketing. And now I'll come to your next question.
Yeah.
How
But
do
I
we?
totally agree with you on this emotion part. Brands play a big part.
That's true. They do. Yeah. Yeah. And then how do you actually go about building it? So there are many, many elements within a brand. But the building blocks of it are clarity. So there has to be clarity. Your consumer must understand what your brand is and where it sits relative to others. And where is this brand? This brand does not exist in the computers or the laptops or the systems or the presentations of your marketing managers. This brand exists in the minds of your target audience, in the minds of your users, consumers, in the minds of the society at large, in the minds of your employees and their families. If you say we are a caring brand, if you say we are an ethical brand, your employees have to feel that, and your employees' families have to feel that. If you say we believe in diversity, then you have to walk the talk on that. You have to prove that in a variety of ways. That is where the brand exists. It exists in the minds of these target audiences. So you have to be able to provide that clarity. Credibility, yeah, position must be logical and believable. So when some oil company has like spilled millions of liters of oil in some ocean and caused huge amount of loss of aquatic life, if I go to their website and they say, oh, we care for the oceans and all, I'm like, yeah, it's not credible. You can say it, but it's not credible. It's not backed up by action. Consistency, yes. Consistency is key to branding. That's how even small companies can make an impact, by being consistent across all communication, across all action. And competitiveness, yeah, we need to find a position that offers a competitive edge, not being the same as others. So these are some of the things that we can do. And if you look at the components of what makes up your brand, define your purpose. Again, I come to Zoom. Their purpose is we deliver happiness. Okay. And somehow that translates into their product in some way. Okay. Then the brand is a very important part of the brand is the visual identity. People think visual identity is brand. As soon as they start the company, they get their logo design, their visit card design, and they think branding ho gaya. It's one component. That is one component of the brand. So yes, your visual identity needs to be memorable, used consistently. It should be designed for all relevant media. So how does it look on your website? How does it look on your app? How does it look on your visit card? How does it look on your social channels? All those. And then you need to have branding guidelines when it's placed with other logos. So if you do a joint conference or a joint go-to-market strategy, how do two logos actually appear with each other? That also needs to be thought about in the branding guidelines. And another important aspect of your brand is your tagline. So the tagline is usually short, memorable way to convey your main value proposition. Again, it should help you to differentiate. And then we should be able to elaborate that tagline into an elevator pitch. So a 2 or 3 line elevator pitch, the cliche is that if you are with your customer, your dream customer, or with your dream investor in a lift, in an elevator, and you get those 2-3 minutes to say something, what will you say? So the tagline has to be able to, like if I say something very funky in my tagline and somebody says, what does that mean? Then the elevator pitch has to kind of support that and explain that. So these are also important aspects of brands. And then the branding guidelines. How is your logo supposed to be used? I've just taken these from, from the Zoho website, where, or any other good brand has these published. How are the logos supposed to be used, not used, what fonts, what colors, and they've given examples at the bottom of don't. You cannot use the logo like this. Don't modify it, manipulate it. So that is also an important aspect. Then brand personality. Now this is very interesting. This is two screenshots from two websites. Both of these are CRM products. The one on the right is SAP, the one on the left is Salesforce. Now, if you look at the one on the left, on the right, what does it say to me? And it's just a screenshot. But what does it say to me? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking enterprise application. I'm thinking major project to implement, long cycle to make my decision also. The entire team will be wearing blue suits, ties. The product will be expensive. Now, all this, I'm getting this impression just by looking at the screenshot. You look at the one on the left. This is also one of the world's leading CRMs. It's Salesforce. But what is it telling me? The entire look and feel, it's telling me something like, oh, this will be easy. Probably it would be, I'll be able to easily chat with somebody from the team. It's going to be a very easy chat. It's going to be a very easy going. I can probably get onto the bus and see how the product feels and then take my decision. These people are going to be very cool, very laid back. That's somehow, this is just what it's telling me from this. This is the two different brand personalities in the same space. And both these are extremely serious players. Yeah, any comments, questions about this brand personality or any of the other things? Or
I like personally feel like totally understand, like when you say how this one is such a cool, laid back kind of brand, and we can totally relate to it, and that's what we want in this current times. This is what we look for. Be anywhere and do whatever and get the job done. So this, I agree with you. This really stands out. And they've invested well in this.
Yeah, and their brand is so wonderfully consistent. It's amazing. Right from their Dreamforce conference, and then they have rock shows over there and so many other things. So in the same space, you can have two very different personalities, and from just a single snapshot, you get like so much about the brand. Okay. And I just have a little more brand voice and tone. Yeah, that is more related to the kind of words that you use to communicate. The brand voice is the personality and emotions that are infused in your content. And it's like somebody so well, a family member so well, or a friend so well, that you kind of can hear in your mind what they will say. And if you have a problem and you go to them, or if you are happy and you go to them, you can kind of imagine exactly how they will make you feel good, make you feel better, because they are consistent. That's their voice. And the same way, our brands also need to be consistent. Okay, so if your brand is going to be very caring, it's going to be very innovative, it's going to be very cutting edge, it's going to be very edgy, it's going to be very rebellious, that is your brand voice. And consistent brand voice helps to create a strong brand. And then the tone changes from time to time. Sometimes the tone can be very upbeat, sometimes the tone can be very serious. That changes depending on the situation, but the voice remains the same. So when it comes to the brand building exercise, I'm going to just talk a few minutes more, then we'll take question answers. The brand building exercise requires you to think about what is your ideal customer profile, what is your value proposition, how are you different from competition, and what are the rational and emotional needs of the customer that we solve. We saw that entire map. And then also start doing an audit. Do we have a logo? Do we need to create a tagline, an elevator pitch? How will we communicate this brand at every touch point? How will this brand that we create be translated? How will it be? How will it go ahead? How will it go on, on our emails, on the phone? How will it go on our WhatsApp messages, on our social media, on our website, on our collateral, everything? How will this brand be communicated? So this is some of the things that are involved. And we then suggest a brand creation brainstorming process. We have like a process to do this, where you keep your target audience in mind. There are a variety of techniques that you use, the team uses, to allow ideas and words to flow in a creative way. At the same time, having clarity on your core values, value proposition, competitive advantage. And then you bring in the content experts who can maybe write the tagline, the elevator pitch, maybe bringing the design experts who create your logo and so on. And when you give this to the logo designer or anyone, you have a clear brand charter, because you have clarity. how you stand out, you know how you meet the emotive needs of your customers, you know your purpose. And so when you create that brand charter and give it to anybody, whether you give it to content writers, to your advertising agencies, to your visual designers, they have complete clarity and things become more and more consistent. So I think with that, I kind of come to the end of my content for today. Happy to take questions. We have an audience on LinkedIn Live as well as on Zoom. We have a few people on Zoom. We have more people on LinkedIn Live. I just want to tell you, or I'll tell you this at the end, but yeah, I'm going to look at questions that we're getting on LinkedIn Live. So yeah, you don't need, you know, higher, like you don't need fancy consultants to have clarity about your brand. You know, first you need to have the clarity internally, brainstorm internally, and come out with that maybe brand charter. You can bring it to that stage yourself, and then you can just go for, you know, the content part or the visual part. You can, but you can bring the brand to a certain stage yourself. Some of the best brands that we're seeing now, the unicorns, they're coming with that clarity from the founders rather than just an external source like telling people. I mean, I'm in favor of external consultants also, but people, the thing is, the reason people feel dependent is because the whole branding space has become like it's something very mysterious and scary, but it need not be. So like I said, we are doing the 3-hour workshop on Saturday, and that will show, that will demystify what exactly goes into the brand.
I have a quick question here.
Yeah.
So we spoke about B2B brand building. So can you also throw some light on how much patience or how much time should a brand invest in building a brand? I think that'll be really helpful if you can briefly touch on that. Thanks.
See, finally, branding starts, becoming an integral part of everything you do. So initially, what is required is the clarity. What's required is to understand that this needs to be done. And some of the really good companies now, some of the really good startups and unicorns right now are doing that. You can see that clarity. And there are others where you can clearly see that there is no clarity. You know, so if you have invested that in the beginning, and of course, revisit it also. If you have thought about what your brand purpose is and all the aspects of branding in the beginning, then maybe in a year or two, it's time to revisit that. That's the investment in time. And also then you need to have the process to take that brand forward on all touch points, all the touch points which your target audience is likely to interact with you on. Are you like selling something on Amazon, or are you selling something on any platform? Do you have an app? Are you on the app store? Are you in social media? Are you in the press? Do you have a website? I mean, so many things. You have to consider all those touch points. So when you start putting the consistent brand elements in all those touch points, then the branding kind of thing starts. And after that, it doesn't take so much of separate time. It's more about thinking once in a while, hey, listen, are we true to our brand? Do we need to revisit the basics? And making sure that that brand is communicated on everything. So I don't know exactly how much time, but it shouldn't add too much time. It should not add too much time. It should become a natural way to be what you are. Maybe when I was 10 years ago, I may have been at some kind of a landmark age. I won't say what that age was, but anyway, maybe at that time I said, hey, why have I been getting angry so much? I shouldn't be getting angry that much. I should be getting angry less. Maybe I may have said, why do I not help people more? I need to be more helpful, or I need to be more charitable, possibly. And if I have thought about that, and if I have sort of said, oh, this is important, I must do these little things, then they don't take separate time, because they become a part of everything I do. That's my brand.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's so true. You spoke about the purpose-driven approach, and so basically be true to your purpose, then time flows. Yeah. Thanks.
True. Yeah. Okay, so we are at 4:40, and if there are no more questions, we will wrap up. I'm going to just tell you about our upcoming programs. So we have on this Saturday, we have a 3-hour workshop on brand building, where we will be actually going through the brainstorming process. and going through many examples. We also have a case study presentation by Mr. Ankush Malhotra, who used to be Corporate Communications India head at BNY Mellon. He's now an entrepreneur. So he's going to be sharing a specific, so whatever I told you, but you're going to hear it from someone who's like right now building his brand and has built the brand or worked on the brand for BNY Mellon and is now building his brand as an entrepreneur. So that's this Saturday, 2 to 5 p.m. And then we have next Thursday, the same time, we are going to be talking about how to build a sales channel. That will be on LinkedIn Live and Zoom. And while you can follow our LinkedIn page or our Facebook page, MarketAxis Consulting, to get updates about these activities. Otherwise, if you're interested in any of these, just drop a mail to sales@marketaxisconsulting.com and we will keep you informed about these upcoming activities. So that's it from me for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Suhasini. This was very interesting. Thanks for taking out time and giving out all this information about brand. It's really important, and it's really important to give as much information because people need to understand how important brand building is for any an enterprise. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great session on Saturday. And I thank you everyone who joined this live session. I hope it was beneficial, and shoot your queries on the email that Suhasini mentioned, and also join in on the session on Saturday.
Thank you, Disha. Thanks so much for being such a wonderful, lovely to interact and exchange thoughts. Thank you so much. Thanks for your contribution. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.